The Supreme Court has temporarily extended access to the abortion pill Mifepristone until at least midnight this Friday. The move gives the court more time to consider this case. Earlier this month, as you might recall, a federal judge in Texas issued a ruling that would revoke FDA approval of the medication. An appeals court then ruled the judgment could remain in place, but imposed limits of its own. For more, let's bring in CBS News' chief legal correspondent, Jan Crawford. Jan, what did the court do today, and does it signal anything about what its intentions are on this very important question?
So all the court did today was release a very short order by Justice Samuel Alito that extended an earlier stay that he had issued in the case. And does that tell us anything about what the court's going to do? No. It just buys them more time, 2 more days. I think what it does suggest is that this may not be unanimous. The justices may not all be in agreement that they need to step in here and block these lower court rulings and keep this pill available nationwide.
In other words, this may be providing time for people to write a dissent if they so want to.
That's exactly right. And, maybe not. Maybe they want to, write something else. But I think that's what it suggests, that this is not likely to be 9-0.
There are legal dimensions to this, but there's also a great anxiety in the country about this, because not only do you have the manufacturers wondering what they can and can't do, you have patients, you have doctors. All this is creating an incredible array, it seems to me, of anxiousness and uncertainty.
Right, because this is one of the most widely used methods for abortion in this country, used in more than half of all abortions right now nationwide. Of course, the Supreme Court last June said, states can ban abortion, they can restrict it if they want to when it overturned Roe versus Wade. This is an effort by a conservative legal group to restrict abortion even in states that would allow it. So it's throwing a wrench into this whole idea that this is in the political process now. Let's let the states decide.
Which, as I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Justice Kavanaugh say in that ruling, as he was agreeing with it, that the court wouldn't be doing that, that in states where it was permissible, that wouldn't change?
Right, and I think that's one of the problems with this case, right? It shows that it's not so easy to pull the Supreme Court out of the debate on abortion just because it said it's not written in the Constitution. And I think that's also why you're going to see maybe a little more time here, because this is a problem for the court, not only in this case. If the court allows these lower court rulings to remain in place, and if it doesn't block them while the litigation is playing out in this case, that is going to be a problem in other cases. You're going to see other conservative groups or liberals and other issues go into federal court and ask federal judges to decide social issues. And that's what the court has said we don't want to be happening.
Right. And there's this entire question of the administrative state. Well, the Food and Drug Administration made this decision some 20 years ago. The efficacy of the drug is clearly established, and yet now it's open for question, which seems to some to have the Supreme Court possibly opening the question of this entire process.
Major, I just interviewed, and we'll have more of this on Evening News and then in the morning, the head of the American Medical Association. And they've been involved in filing papers in this case, and they are deeply concerned that if the court allows these lower court rulings to stand, it will, quote, create chaos and be dangerous for physicians across the country, because it also could call into question FDA approval of other drugs. If you allow a federal judge in Amarillo, Texas, to decide nationwide what FDA approvals are going to, be authorized or not, that could encourage people to go into court and challenge other drugs and really upend, as he put it in our interview, the entire process of drug authorization in this country.
And very quickly, Jan.
So well beyond the abortion issue, which of course is very important.
Right, but back to the abortion issue. If I understand the Fifth Circuit's restrictions, one of them would be to take the generic form of this drug off the market.
There are going to be challenges to that as well.
Okay.
I think what we're looking at right now in the short term with that Fifth Circuit ruling is what it would mean for women seeking abortions. And if the court allows that Fifth Circuit, which limited the lower court judge, to go forward, it would mean the FDA said that this drug was available up to 10 weeks for abortions. The appeals court said, no, we're going to put that at 7. The FDA said that you didn't have to go to the doctor, that you could get your prescription, follow the instructions there at home without going to the doctor multiple times. The appeals court said, no, we're going to require 3 doctor's visits. It's kind of this idea that you're going to have judges kind of setting the parameters of what drug authorizations are, despite what the FDA has already approved, that has groups like the American Medical Association very troubled.
And as you mentioned a moment ago, despite the Supreme Court's hesitancy to get involved at this granular level.
Major, I'll be really surprised if they don't block these rulings. Very surprised, because they've said things in the past, in other cases unrelated to abortion, that the challengers here that filed these lawsuits have not met that high bar of getting into federal court and challenging things. You have to show you've been harmed, for example. It's not happened here, direct harm. And so I'll be very surprised if the court doesn't block the rulings. I think they will keep this pill available nationwide as this litigation plays out. But you know, now they've got 2 more days, so we'll see. By, I guess now, midnight Friday. Unless we get it
sooner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or if they say we need a little more time on Friday.
Always possible. Jan Crawford, so good to have you with us. Jan, we'll have more on the CBS Evening News and CBS Mornings.